All right, well, welcome back. If you don't know what you just saw there, I have a trailer load slam full of sweet potato slips. This right here is what you plant when you're planting sweet potatoes. It's the slips. You know, you don't plant an actual potato. The potatoes are planted in the plant beds, which produce thousands of these little guys right here, and cut them off and plant them, and they'll grow sweet potatoes. Growing the slips is one of the few things that I don't do myself. That and the cabbage transplants, I order them out of Georgia. They ship them to me. But I don't plant my own slips. It's not something that I couldn't do, but we're just so busy with all the different crops and all that, and you got to have some specialized equipment, which I could get, but I don't have, to kind of groom them and cut them. But the main thing is just the time. It's just easier for me to go buy them from a big sweet potato farm and get them that way. So it's probably more expensive, but in the long run, it may be about the same, you know, by the time you pay all your equipment and labor and all that. So anyway, we're gonna get them unloaded, and unfortunately it rained today here. I was hoping to start tomorrow, and that may not happen, but we're gonna try to get them planted in the next 4 or 5 days. All right, they're put in these rectangle milk crates. I don't know how much they weigh, but they're heavy. They're packed in there tight. It's hard to know exactly how many slips are in each crate. Just kind of depends on how big the slips are. But I kind of know sort of how many to get, and just hope that I guess right. All right, it's the next morning, and we were able to get started on the potato planting. It ended up raining about 3/10, so it wasn't too bad. There are pretty good rain chances each day this week. I know last week I said it was going to be hot and dry. I think every time I say that on the video, it rains a bunch the next week, so I'm going to stop saying that. But it's going to be spotty, so the weather, so there's not a guarantee that we're going to get rained out, but it takes us about 3 days to do it, and I need to get it done in a span of about 5 days. So hopefully in that 5-day period we can get our 3 days in worth of planting. These little grabbers go all the way around, and they drop one slip into one of those fingers, and then it comes around and it drops it right in. All right, it takes 6 people, 1 driver, 4 riders, 1 walking behind, catching any skips that they missed. It's slow. It's, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 acres a day for us. It's 2 rows at a time. You know, the 4 riders, 2 do each row. They just alternate putting their slips in those fingers that are rolling around. And that's pretty much how every sweet potato is planted in the United States, with those mechanical transplanters. Now those large farms, they'll have multiple, 8-row transplanters. We just have a 2-row transplanter. We can get by with that. The more rows you do at a time, the more people you got to have out there riding and planting. We've got real good moisture right now. Normally I immediately water them after we get through planting the whole field. We're going to plant this side and on the other side of the turn row over here. But if it gets some rain showers off and on this week, we may not have to water them immediately. Plus it's cooled off some. It was 98 degrees on Monday, but it's going to be in the 80s this week, so that'll help. Okay, our spacing is going to be 12 to 14 inches. It really should be one or the other, but sometimes the way the dirt squeezes them and how they sit, sometimes they're closer to 12, sometimes they're closer to 14. Okay, fast forward, we skipped a day. Now it's Friday, the last day of May, the 31st. We got 2 full days in of planting. We need 1 more full day. And last night it rained right at 3 inches. Kind of out of nowhere. Not that the chances weren't there, but the forecast was not calling for anything like that. So we've got off and on chances today and tomorrow, really through the weekend. So the field drains really well, sandy. Right now I got the guys on the end doing a little bit of shoveling, trying to get the water right off on the ends. But we need some, a day where it's not gonna rain, and then hopefully we can get back out here and finish. The thing about the slips, and the negative thing about not growing your own slips, like when I went to pick them up, is they only last for so long. Really probably 5 days, maybe. It hasn't been hot, which helps, but they'll get kind of slimy eventually, and once they get to that point, they're really not any good. So that's kind of what I'm up against. I need to finish before the rest of my slips go bad. I mentioned a little bit in the last video about the timing of the potato planting and how that works into all of what we do. You can plant sweet potatoes once it gets warm. So we're at the end of May. You could plant them probably end of April all the way up through the middle of the summer. I picked this week right at the end of May, 1st of June, because it works out almost perfectly where we end up the watermelon season and we can go right into the sweet potato harvest. And then right after that, we can start selling our potatoes, and it gives us time to sell out before Thanksgiving. And so that's why I plant the potatoes this week. We'll turn right around and plant our last watermelon field as soon as we get done with potato planting. They'll be ready 1st of August, go into Labor Day, maybe a little after Labor Day, and then we'll switch right into the sweet potato harvest in mid-September. So that's why it's important for me to keep my timing. I have my labor, I have to keep them busy, and you don't want a bunch of time where there's nothing to do. So it all works out usually pretty good, but you got to get it done on time to make it work. Here's an example of a slip that's starting to put on roots. You see these little white roots, these little feeder roots. Those will eventually be the roots, but these slips are 3 days old. So that's what they do. Well, it's Saturday, and looks like we're gonna finish. Sun's out. I told you this field really drains well. All we need is just a little bit of sun and dry time. And anyway, it's hard to believe it rained 3 inches 36 hours ago, but anyway, we're gonna finish this, so that'll be just right. We didn't have to have any slips or anything go bad. We're only on the 4th day, I think, after they were cut, so that worked out good. I'm gonna put out my herbicide over the top as soon as I get through. And then today's Saturday, and next week we'll shift gears, try to get the last watermelon, red, yellow, and cantaloupes transplanted. And that'll be a big hurdle out of the way once we get that done. Crops are getting ready fast. I would say within about a week, we're probably gonna have some corn, tomatoes, probably we've already started picking some peaches. So it's that time of the year. Everything's probably a little bit early. The peaches are definitely early. Everything else is probably gonna be a little bit earlier than normal. But so far everything looks pretty good. I got some more drone footage too that I'm gonna show you of just some of the older crops, so I hope you enjoy that. on that drone video of the plastic field and some of the other crops, that was shot a week ago today. So in that week on those younger melons, if you notice, they were probably, you couldn't see the black plastic, but they weren't too far past the edge of the plastic. Well, now they're just about touching. So that's how much they've grown in a week. All right, that was our little Kubota there, punching holes for the last watermelon field for the transplants. Got started today. When I left you at the end of the sweet potato planting, that was Saturday. Well, today is Wednesday. We should have been through with the planting, but between Saturday at the end of the sweet potato planting and this morning about 10 o'clock on Wednesday, it rained another 5.5 inches. We got rain every day, so we were not able to do anything. We started about lunchtime today, so we are behind on a little bit on the timing, but can't do nothing about it other than just be able to do it when we can do it. So from the time I started making the video when I picked up the sweet potato slips until today, which is about 8 days, we ended up with 8.5 inches of rain. So that puts us at right about 23 inches of rain since we started transplanting on plastic around the 1st of April. So that is indeed a lot. I'm not sure how it's gonna affect the older melons and tomatoes, some of the crops that are, getting close to being ready. Certainly they're waterlogged because it's rained literally 5 days in a row. And that's not counting the first 3 inches of rain we got right in the middle of the potato planting. So it's been a mess. It's almost been like a tropical storm where it just doesn't ever stop, but it wasn't. It was coming from the northwest, but anyway, it's over at least for the rest of the week, I think. So we got a whole lot to do. I'm getting behind on my pea planting also. So this next round of peas, whenever I get them in, will be further apart than what I want, but I'll just have to get them when I can. There you go. These transplants are not real big, but they are in the ground. I'll do this whole field. Probably at least 3/4 red. And we'll do some yellow and some cantaloupes. One of the reasons I think that my plants are so small is it's been so hot. Especially a couple of weeks ago, it was pretty hot, and I don't have a shade cloth on my greenhouse. I mean, it's early June, too late, way too late in the year to be trying to grow stuff in the greenhouse, really. I plant them in plenty of time to be ready now. Some years they get a little bigger than others, but I think it's just too hot in them. Ideally, I would like to move them out once they come up and keep them on some trailers and keep them in the shade and pull them in and out, but that's a lot of trouble, and you got to have a lot of trailer floor space to do all that. And anyway, they'll be fine. I would prefer them a little bigger, but like I said, some years they are, some years they're not. But I'm almost positive it's related to the temperature. I have the fans and all in the greenhouse, and my sides are up and the doors open and all that. But even with that, with no shade cloth, it stays pretty hot in there. That's my planting crew way down on the other end. I'm zoomed in. I'm not sure how focused it is. I'm on the other end of the field. But if you see this in the background, this is my neighbor's got a block of wheat right in between a couple of my fields. You probably saw it in the drone video too, but this has been bad weather for the wheat. It should have been harvesting it probably a couple of weeks ago, so it's been beat to death, so don't envy that at all. Hopefully he'll come out okay on it. This is the same soil type as the sweet potatoes, so it drains and dries out really fast, especially after those hard rains. You know, it packs it, so we can pretty much drive on it, at least with the Kubota. We wouldn't be able to with a big tractor, but anyway, we're gonna probably be out here at least for a few days, at least. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. It's been a stressful 8 days between the planting and all the rain, and then back to planting, and knowing the crops are getting close to being ready too. So anyway, it is, I think, the 5th of June. So it will be pretty hectic and chaotic, probably even more so than it is now here pretty soon. So thank y'all for watching. Subscribe to us, like our videos, all those things. We would appreciate all that. So see y'all next time.